All right, another random Redbox rental, Bad Apples, starring Brie Grant. This is a movie I went into completely blind, like I do with most Redbox movies. This film started off extremely promising. It has a very vicious and brutal opening that was shocking and I did not see coming. Just on how it all plays out and the way it looks and whatnot, I was like, oh wow, like okay, this movie's going for it. Sweet, I'm the target audience for this film. And then we get some cool artistic shots of girls on bikes, and it's like, all right, this director has some style. This is some uniqueness to it. And the soundtrack, the music in this movie is really good, like great even. I was like, wow, this music is excellent. Unfortunately, as soon as the film starts, like after that opening, like when we get to the present day and we start to get to the meat of it, the story, it all falls apart from there. And it's a shame because the opening is really good, as I have already said. The music is really good. There's some cool artistic choices with the shots and direction and whatnot in certain scenes. But the writing and the acting is where this film falters incredibly. I'm not even going to talk about the ending right now yet because I'm saving that for the end. Holy shit. But let's stick to the beginning. Now, this movie is about a couple that moves to a new town. It's Halloween night. They are trying to unpack their house. The husband works at a hospital. He goes off to work. The woman stays behind to unpack. And there are some bad apples, some kids that are dressed in Halloween costumes who are going around and terrorizing the neighborhood and butchering anybody who doesn't answer their door to give them candy, trick or treat. And they clearly give them the trick if there is no treat. Which, as I said, I really like the premise. I really like a lot of elements in this. So it was extremely frustrating to watch this movie fall apart. And it has Brie Grant in it, who I really enjoy from Dexter and Heroes and other films. Or other series. Those are series, not films. But I've enjoyed her work in the past. She is a good actress. And her acting in this movie is not her fault. Like, I don't think she's terrible in this movie, but her character is so awful that it drags any performance she could have possibly had down. There are problems with pretty much everything once the story starts to unfold. There are such long stretches of dialogue that have no importance to the film. Character decisions are just so unbelievably dumb and just unrational. Like, I don't scream at movies almost ever. I am a very open, calm person when I watch films. I'm just kind of like, all right, I'll let this storyteller tell me a story, and I'm open to pretty much anything. And I was actually out loud yelling at the screen because I was so frustrated with how much this film was falling apart after I felt like we had such a strong, beginning. There's scenes where characters are supposed to be rushing to the aid of somebody and they just stop to talk to somebody about something that really doesn't have a purpose to the film at all. And it's only there to try to add dramatic effect. And it doesn't work. And it bogs down the scene. And it makes the character look even dumber than they had already previously looked in the rest of the film that they were in. There is so many bad decisions made in this movie. There are so many moments where you have to completely disregard logic. There's so many moments where things don't add up in the continuity of the film. Someone's stabbed in a place and then they're bleeding from a completely different place. They're stabbed in a place that would make them bleed profusely and they're not bleeding at all. They're not injured and then they're injured from that wound later after not looking like they're injured at all after being stabbed somewhere extremely devastating to your body. It just, the action sequences are so poorly done. And there is, I'm sorry, I watch low budget cinema all the time. It's pretty much what I do. There are tons of films that have zero budget and effectively work around these issues. If you have these issues that you're running into, the action sequences aren't exactly looking right. They look stilted, or they looked, choreographed, or they look like, they're not exciting, whatever. Reshoot it in a different way. Think about it, the editing. You want to talk about another huge problem with this film? Oh my God. The sound design in this film is infuriating. Infuriating? I don't even know what I said there. Infuriating? Whatever. Okay? That's how pissed off I am. I can't even pronounce words correctly. Okay. I just have a problem with that word. Okay? That's one of those words I have a problem with. Like rivalry. I said it pretty good right there, but if I try to say it in a sentence, it's bad. Let's not get off the fucking task at hand here. Let's talk about this. The sound design. And it doesn't even have any rhyme or reason to it. Like, those movies that you watch and the low moments are low and you're like, what? So you turn it up. And then the big action sequence and it's like, bam! And you're like, fuck, turn it down, turn it down. It's like that, but without any rhyme or reason to it at all. Like, the low point sometimes, the whispering and whatnot, is super loud. And then sometimes it's super quiet. Then sometimes the action sequences are quiet and sometimes they're loud. It's all over the fucking place. I can't figure out. I had the fucking volume remote in my hand pretty much the entire film. Because I picked it up and at one point I was like, I'm not going to put it down. Because I'm going to have to adjust this again any second. And it was just like, oh fuck, here we go. All right, down. And my soundbar remote isn't amazing, so I have to get closer to it. So every time I had to get up off the couch and go, I don't know if that's a battery issue. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter to you. But it was frustrating as fuck to me. Because I shouldn't have to constantly being up and down, up and down, up and down. And I've read plenty of reviews on this film now that I've seen it. And everyone is saying the same fucking thing. It ain't my TV. It ain't my copy. Anything like that. And now, let's get into the ending of this movie. I'm not talking about the end of the story at hand. We go a year into the future, and it is the most pointless, it is the most redundant scene I think I've ever seen tacked on to the end. It doesn't even look like it was filmed by the same crew. It looks completely different. And all it is just them basically explaining everything that just happened in the film. Stuff that you can completely surmise by yourself if you have, I don't know, a fucking third grade education. So why that's tacked on at the end, it's just there for like that one final little meh. But it's so long and drawn out and so pointless. And I think it's there for explanation. And I have to wonder if like the studio forced them to film this at the end. Like, no, like this doesn't make sense. You need to explain their motives. You need to explain the backstory. You need to explain it all. As I said, you can surmise all of this on your own. Like nothing they said, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. No, I had already figured out everything they say. And it's like a 5-minute scene. And you're like, oh my God, I can't stand any more shitty dialogue from not very talented actors. Now, this may be the director's fault that the actors don't have that. I don't like ripping people's performances or their art apart at all. But this film is frustrating. Because there's no way somebody wrote some of these scenes and was like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that works. It doesn't. And there's no way anyone thought it did. And I don't understand how things like this exist. I don't. I don't understand how scenes like this exist in a film. So, call me out all you want. Maybe the fucking director or someone will watch this and be like, you make a fucking movie then. Okay, give me the budget you had. All right, let's try it out. Worst thing happens, I have a movie. Anyway, I'm done with this shit. Skip this. Skip this. Skip this. I can't say it enough. Fuck me.